The next speaker is the Honorable Letsie. Honorable Member, you may continue.
Chair of Chairs, Minister, Deputy Ministers of Higher Education and Training, members of the House, distinguished guests, and fellow South African engaging in this crucial debate through broadcast and digital platforms, I greet you all. It is a profound honor to rise in this House on behalf of the African National Congress, the historic leader of a democratic breakthrough, and the movement entrusted with the responsibility to advance social transformation through state power. Today, we speak in firm support of the budget vote for the Department of Higher Education and Training as a transformative instrument, a tool of justice, and a pillar of nation building. The budget is a political commitment rooted in the clarion call for the Freedom Charter and shaped by the developmental vision of the National Development Plan. As we mark the 70th anniversary of the Freedom Charter, we recommit to its demand that open code, the doors of learning and culture shall be open to all closed code. The NC support for this budget is grounded in that enduring struggle to expand access, deepen inclusion, and build a peasant sector that reflects the aspiration of a democratic developmental state. Education remains the most powerful weapon we possess to fight poverty, inequality, and unemployment. Through this budget, we are resourcing that fight. As parliamentarians and members of this committee, oversight is not just an administrative function, it is a solemn responsibility entrusted to us by the people. We will hold the department, NSFAS, universities, TVET colleges, and CITAs accountable. We will ensure that public resources are used efficiently, effectively, and transparently to deliver the NC's vision of an inclusive and accessible PSET sector. In this context, we commend the strategic direction the department has taken to expand access and inclusivity. As a progressive movement, we welcome the steady rise in enrollment across the PSET system, a clear indication that our policies are taking root. University enrollments, for an example, are projected to grow from a baseline of 1,077,768 to 1,133,868. I hope listen carefully. By 2025-2026 financial year, an increase of 56,100 students. This is not just a statistical growth, it is a tangible expression of the ANC's commitment to expanding access to higher education to benefit all. However, we must also confront the alarming concern that over 3.4 million young people aged between 15 and 24 remain not in employment, education, and training. This is a structural challenge that demands urgent and innovative solutions. While targeted support for NEET youth is already part of the departmental strategy, it must be significantly scaled up. We need to expand the reach for community education and training colleges, and we're happy, Minister, you have just announced that you'll build 2, strengthen short skills program, and build agile partnership with industry to create real path for learning, work, and livelihoods. Alongside these efforts, we commend the department for its work in increasing funding for students with disabilities, upgrading ICT infrastructure, and continuing to roll out the student housing infrastructure program. This intervention reflects a holistic approach to access, one that the ANC will continue to champion as we deepen transformation across the PSET sector. However, progress must not blind us to shortcomings. We cannot turn a blind eye to ongoing challenges such as student accommodation crisis, where Black small business owners are facing non-payments from NSFAS, and many of them are about to lose their properties. Funding delays and defunding of students, an infrastructure backlog that continue to hamper the realization of accessibility to PSET system. We urge the department to address these challenges with the seriousness and the urgency they deserve. Alongside these efforts, we commend the department for its focused investment in community education and training. The CET infrastructure grant will support the construction of the construction of skill centers, workshops, ICT laboratories, and teaching facilities across all provinces. The investment ensures that CET colleges are equipped to meet local demand while also benefiting much needed ICT upgrades that support them. Digital learning environments, together with the continued rollout of student housing infrastructure program and an increased funding for students with disabilities, these initiatives reflects the holistic and integrated approach to expanding access. The ANC continues to champion in building a truly inclusive PZ sector. The numbers reaffirm this progress, with over 274,000 TVET college students funded through NSFAS bursaries in the baseline year. The projected 269,314 students supported in the 25-26 financial year, and a target of over 300,000 in the outer years. On the university front, the NSFAS loan scheme aimed at the missing middle will reach 11,000 students annually. These interventions are instruments of social justice and redress, made possible by an ANC-led government which prioritizes the need of the people. The current budget allocation must be scrutinized for how it supports transformation and equity, especially for historically disadvantaged students and institutions. Annual performance plans from the department and all these entities must be realistic, must be achievable, and must be aligned with available resources. We cannot afford a disconnect between policy ambition and budget realities. Our people deserve results, not excuses. Furthermore, the department commitment to multilingualism must be strengthened and expanded. Yeah, listen carefully. Education must embrace the linguistic diversity of our people, diversity of our country, to improve learning outcomes and ensure that no learner is left behind due to language barriers. A notable example in the collaboration between DHET and UNISA through Language Development Plan, which support pilot programs in indigenous languages aimed at improving student comprehension in their mother tongue. This initiative showcased through recent listen carefully again, multilingualism roadshows in provinces such as Mpumalanga, the Western Cape and Northwest reflect a practical step towards equalizing all official languages in teaching, learning, research, and support. The task before us is clear: to advance social transformation through a PZ sector is truly inclusive and accessible to all. This committee, as parliamentarians and custodians of the people's mandate, must exercise robust oversight to ensure that the department delivers on its mandate and that every rand spent contributes to transformation of life. The ANC leads this fight with courage, discipline, and vision. We owe it to the generation much before us and the millions of South Africans who look to us with hope. Together, we will open doors wider and keep them open, not just in policy, but in practice. To the people of South Africa, as we present this budget today for consideration, I ask you to listen and listen very carefully. I ask you to watch and watch very carefully. To those who will not be supporting this budget, many of them have already indicated that they are going to reject this budget on the basis that they do not believe that the minister should be a minister today, which is a very skewed reasoning. We want you to listen to them. When they reject this budget, we want you to remind them that they will literally be saying all poor students who are receiving NSFAS bursaries, all poor students who are getting their allowances must go home, sleep hungry, and not have a place to stay. This is what they will be saying to you. They will be saying to you, all small businesses in the sector who are providing accommodation to our students must close down. They must be saying all the owners of these properties must lose their properties. They will be saying all workers in our universities, our TVET colleges, and everywhere else must go home because those universities and TVET colleges must close down. When you vote in 2026, we are asking you to remember them, because that is what they will be saying. They will be saying to you, your poor child must not go to school, must not go to university because they have a problem with the minister. That is what they will be saying. When you vote next year, When you register to vote for next year, remember them because they are betraying your children. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The next speaker is the Honorable Sizane. Sizane. Order, Honorable Members.
Angibingelele kuwe sihlalo, ngibingelela amalungu eParliament, ngibingelela abantu base South Africa. Njengomkhonto wesizwe party sifuna ukubeka kucaca ukuthi sifuna imfundo yamahala engezukugcina kuphela kwa undergraduate level but ezofika ku postgrad level. As umkhonto wesizwe party we call for free quality and decolonized education, which is why we unequivocally reject budget vote 17. We further reject this budget on the basis that we do not have the confidence in the ministry and certainly not in the accounting officer in the form of the DG, who is alleged of gross misconduct, fraud and corruption, yet the minister fails to suspend or even investigate him. So we're not rejecting this budget because of all the things that you are claiming, Chairperson. We reject it because we do not have confidence in the ministry and the department to oversee this budget. The 2025 APP budget vote stands as a cold, indifferent document that dares to speak of plans and progress, yet it is shamefully silent on the agony of thousands of students whose futures hang in limbo. Nowhere does it mention the sons and daughters who have labored through years of study only to find their certificates withheld, their dreams imprisoned behind unpaid fees. It is silent and criminally silent on the settling of historical debt that shackles the poor of our youth, the forgotten souls who have fallen through the cracks as the so-called missing middle. Today, as I speak to you, there are students sitting at home, degrees earned but worthless in their hands, not because they lack ambition, not because they refuse to pay, but because they simply cannot afford it. It is silent and criminally silent. It is silent and criminally silent on the settling of historical debt that shackles the poor of our youth, the forgotten souls who have fallen through the cracks as the so-called missing middle. Today, as I speak to you, there are students who are sitting at home, degrees earned but worthless in their hands, not because they lack ambition, but because they simply cannot afford it. Tell me, how is it just that a child of a police officer who risks their lives and limp each day to keep our streets safe but must be denied future because of debt? How is it right that a child of a nurse who attends to the sick and broken in the dead of the night is locked out of progress because of fees? How can it be that a child of a social worker who fights tirelessly to mend the woods of society cannot claim the price of education because the price is too high? And how is it in a country that calls itself free, does a child of a teacher, the mother of all professions, sit at home, degree withheld simply because their parents cannot pay? Or in a worst case scenario, they are financially excluded. These are families who sacrifice their lives, time and service to this nation, yet they are punished by a cold arithmetic of this NSFAS cap, trapped in a system that tells them that you earn too much to help, but too little to pay. So we must rise and ask, does this budget really and truly serve the marginalized and the working class and the poor? Or is it merely a ledger of numbers, blind to the tears, the pain, and suffocated potential of those whose only crime is to be born into poverty? We demand a budget that speaks the language of justice, of transformation, and of humanity. Until then, we refuse to be silent. We refuse to be silent while the youth of this country are sacrificed to corruption, mismanagement, and elitist policies. The National Skills Fund that has a 5 billion looted. We cannot ignore the scandal consuming the National Skills Fund. The Auditor General has exposed nearly 5 billion unaccounted for, money stolen from our unemployed youth and working class desperate for skills. This is not just mismanagement, it is an economic violence. Yet this budget proposes more pouring billions into the NSF despite the crisis of mismanagement and underspending of 3.7 billion last year alone. How can we trust an institution that cannot spend its funds effectively or even account for billions that have been lost? Let's address the issue of NSFAS, a program that is supposed to be a powerful lifeline for the disadvantaged, whilst we are still in pursuit of free, quality, decolonized education. However, instead, it was developed into a catastrophe of mismanagement. Over 128 million has been squandered due to fraud and ghost students. An additional 166.9 million has gone down the drain on extravagant offices leases and 18.6 million wasted on parking bays while our students are left to suffer. In 2024, the direct payment system failed drastically, forcing thousands of our students into homelessness, hunger, preventing them from purchasing textbooks or even basic sanitary products. The MK party demands that the NSF, the NSFAS be dismantled and rebuilt from ground up. Enough is enough. The betrayal of the poor must end. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The next speaker is the Honorable Maseko.
Thank you very much, House Chair. House Chairperson, honorable members, a budget is not merely about numbers on a page. It is a declaration of intent. It is a moral document. It speaks to what a government values and what it doesn't. The Department of Higher Education and Training claims to prioritize quality education, equity, and excellence. Yet under the current minister, these values are just empty slogans, not guiding principles. We are not here today to debate technical estimates. We are here because the very integrity of our higher education system is being systematically eroded by incompetence, deception, and the unchecked abuse of power. The minister has repeatedly given conflicting representations to this House. She told Parliament that an independent panel oversaw the appointment of key SETA board members. Yet the very individuals named as chairs of that process, including Advocate Terry Mutau, has publicly disassociated themselves from any involvement. That is not miscommunication. House Chairperson, that is deliberate manufacturing of the facts. It is a deception with consequences. Today, public confidence in the SETAs, those very institutions meant to train, upskill, and empower our youth, lies in tatters. Politically connected individuals and ANC insiders have been gifted board seats not based on merit but on patronage. A jobs factory for comrades while millions of young sit unemployed, untrained, and forgotten. The road does not stop at the sitters. Despite the minister's empty assurances, NSFAS remains a disaster. Students have gone months without allowances. Appeals are backlogged. Bursary guidelines are issued late. And now we learn that about 27,000 students may be defunded even after they have been admitted, housed, and taught. What kind of minister punishes students for her own failures? What kind of minister speaks of hope while gutting the very mechanisms that offer it? This budget cuts infrastructure grants to TVET and university sectors while ballooning administrative costs. Colleges serving poor, rural, out-of-school youth receives just 2.2% of the department's budget. Meanwhile, consultants walk away with a whooping 22.8 million rand in advisory fees. A department that cannot even spend its allocated infrastructure grants now wants to advise itself on how to spend more. We are told that the department will deliver a just energy transition. But who will train the solar technicians and wind turbine engineers when TVET colleges still lack electricity, Wi-Fi, and qualified lecturers? A transition in name only is not just. It is delusion. House Chairperson, this is a department that has spent millions on forensic investigations, but its minister, the executive authority, has taken no action against officials implicated in fraud and maladministration. Not one disciplinary hearing and not one criminal charge, not one clawback of stolen public funds. Honorable members, when corruption is left unpunished, it becomes a policy. When incompetence is promoted, it becomes strategy. Under Minister Nkabane, both flourish. She has failed to fill critical vacancies. She has failed to protect the financial viability of NSFAS. She has failed to deliver student housing. She has failed to be honest with this parliament. And above all, she has failed our youth. The Democratic Alliance believes that our students deserve better than this. They deserve action. They deserve to have their budget treated with care. They deserve to have the billions earmarked for their future to benefit them, not the connected few. They deserve a minister with competence and integrity. They deserve a minister that treats their future as a mission, not a meal ticket. President Ramaphosa must remove Minister Nkabani without delay. The future of our youth depends on strong, ethical, caring leadership. And until there is accountability at the very top, every rent in this budget will be another drop in the leaking bucket. Honorable members, this budget, if implemented by an
Honorable
ethical,
member, your time is now
and
expired.
trustworthy
Thank you.
minister, but to raise the future of our youth in the hands of this compromise
Honorable member, your time has
will be
expired.
to pay. I thank you.
Thank you.